Okay, time for some React Randy content, everybody. All right, we selected some of the most common questions from the community and shared them with our development team for a detailed Q&A. We will continue to update this Q&A regularly and address the topics and concerns you care about most. We hope you find these insightful, helpful, and thank you for your continued support. And then a nice little photo here. Okay. So can we get an option to hide our weapons when we're not in combat? This feature is scheduled for season 2. You guys got to let me know too if this is like if these are like big things for you. You know, is it hitting really big topics for you guys or no? You know what I'm saying? Will you add wardrobe presets to save and quickly switch between full outfits? This is actually much needed. Preset pages for characters, talents, gear, and appearances are currently in testing and planned for future updates. Nice, very cool. Can we have more voice options, specifically the male body 3 voice sounds too young for the character model? We're aware that some body types and voice lines feel mismatched. To address this, we will add more character voice options in season 2 so players can customize their voice settings more freely. Any more of these like setting things are going to be great. I'm really excited to have them. Just more options, right? More options are always good. Shouldn't the second style options be skins bought with Meow Lux tickets also be dyeable? Shouldn't the second style option? Oh, interesting. We understand the value of premium skins. Many of these skins feature dynamic visual effects, so dyeing was not included at launch. However, the dyeing feature is already planned and we're working to bring it to the game as soon as possible. Oh, that's really cool. If you guys don't know, what they're talking about right now is skins like this one, for example, that have the custom skin. They're saying this one, I think that you'll be able to dye. And the reason why they said they probably weren't doing that is because they have these effects, but they're very, very cool. And I could understand why you would want the option to dye them. It really annoyed me that you couldn't dye them. Yeah, especially considering how premium they are. So first you need to buy this one, which is 5 Meow Lux tickets, and then this one's like an extra 10 or something. So it's a lot of Meow Lux tickets. They're a very premium outfit. Not being able to dye a very premium outfit is like really kind of dumb, to be honest. So that's a good change. Is there a class preset system planned? It's tiring to manually re-equip gear every time I switch classes. Preset pages for characters, talents, gear, and appearances are currently in testing. Okay, I said that earlier, but I don't know if they actually meant that it would be like, you know, this person's talking about changing between like a beat performer and I think being like a life bind, for example. And I don't know if talents and gear work for that, but maybe it's like an overall system for the class as well. Can you add a confirmation window when taking items from guild cargo? I keep misclicking and taking the wrong thing. I don't really understand what this even means. Does anybody else know what this actually means? I feel like this is a non-issue. We're just going to skip that one. Can you add a rerun button at the end of the dungeon to queue for the same one again with the same party? We've noted this request and it's under evaluation. Anything to redo the same dungeon over and over again, I think is a fantastic thing, and having players interact with more load screens is always going to be worse for your game forever. So if they can make it that way, especially for people like us who are grinding the same dungeon over and over and over and over again, if they can make it so we have to deal with less load screens and less menus, that's definitely a plus in my book. The legendary titles should look more distinct from normal ones, maybe with a special plate, glow, or unique color. Oh, okay, I actually kind of like this. We're currently working on more visually striking title designs. They will be added to our development schedule once testing is complete. Okay, very cool. So hopefully they'll go back though and hook those up, because some of them are very cool but don't actually look that cool. Isn't guild cargo the daily 20k thing? Yeah, but as far as I know, I don't know when you're taking items from the guild cargo. You know what I mean? Like the wording on this just doesn't really make sense to me. You're depositing items into the guild cargo unless somebody like your guild leader is pulling items out or something. I don't really know. But yeah, I don't think I'm ever taking items from guild cargo. Maybe he means he's adding the wrong item to the guild cargo, but like there's literally a submit button. So like, I don't know, seems weird. The party hub UI seems bugged. It often shows 2 or 3 open parties instead of all available ones. This issue has been fixed and we will continue to further optimize the party hub in the future. I do feel like this has been fixed-ish. It's been better lately. I don't know if it's like fully fixed. Can we get an apply as party feature? If my friend and I are a duo, we'd like to to join another duo to form a full group more easily. Yes, this is an essential feature for an MMO. It really is. You should have been able to do this from the start. Development for this function is already scheduled, and we hope to make it available to players soon. Yeah, that is a pretty core feature of an MMO for sure, and it definitely should have been there at launch. And in general, I would say that the party system is a pretty terrible UI experience overall. If you just go and look at this, like, this is not a very good UI experience. There's a lot better ways that they could do this, especially when you go down to doing your chaotic realms. Having all of these listed at all times and having to scroll down to the one that you want is really not a good system. It's really, really bad. And I oftentimes find people in these lower level ones that say like M5, for example. There's no one here now, it looks like, but yeah, usually I'll actually find people in even the hard or the normal mode versions because they picked the wrong one in the activity for the settings. I've seen people do M6 but under hard. Yeah, exactly, same thing. It just means that they probably clicked the wrong one. They just saw Tina's or whatever that they're trying to do, and they just clicked the first one that they saw, right? It happens all the time. And again, it's just because this UI is just pretty dog shit, to be honest. They really should clean this up. I do understand that it's very functional for it being able to do everything, but it's not a good UI. It doesn't flow very well, and it could definitely use a lot of work. If instead you had some menus that were like, what activity do I want to do? Oh, I want to do a raid, and then several, one of each dragon popped up here. It's like, okay, well, which one? And then you can like click boxes or something like that, and then it'd be like, okay, which difficulty? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different ways that they could have the UI flow that would make a lot more sense. And even if they don't want to break it down like by dragon, right, for different ones like this, like they could at least have like a picture, right? The picture could change, and maybe you could select the dragons or something for what you want to do. Because right now it always shows the same icon, and it doesn't actually change on different difficulties either. Again, like I do say, it does seem like the party finder is much better. I feel like before I only would have seen like the first two listed. So now that you see all four every time I refresh this is actually pretty good. It is a lot better. Unfortunately, a lot of people have left the game because of issues like this, right? When they look around, they saw nobody in the party finder. That's not a good look, and so it really hurts people's perspective on your game. There's always people talking about the Steam chart numbers, and they're not understanding that the game is on multiple platforms and stuff like that. It's all the same stuff. It makes the game look worse, and so when people feel like they're playing a game that's not good or doesn't have very many players, they don't feel as invested. Why delete the quick wheel feature after dungeon? I used to have fun doing emotes with it. This is actually a big one for me. This is actually so dumb. I never used it, but I thought it was cool that people did. We discovered that using the quick wheel during the results phase at the end of the dungeon may trigger a system bug, so this feature has been temporarily disabled. However, we know players really enjoy it, and we are currently testing the fix so we can bring the feature back as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. Please stay tuned. Okay, that's fine. That's actually a good way to address this. Just honestly though, this should have come out on their social media page when the fix happened. You know what I mean? Or even like before the fix. Look, maintenance is happening. We're going to be implementing this. It's only temporary, etc. Right? They need to have better communication before things like this change, because again, it just isn't a good look, and it makes your players feel bad. Are there plans for Discord rich presence integration to show our in-game name, UID, and current map activity? This feature is already planned, and we expect it to be available in season 2. Wait, really? Discord rich presence integration to show our in-game name, UID, and current map/activity. That's potentially really cool. I don't really know if what they mean is this is going to be in Discord. People are going to be able to see this. I guess that is kind of cool, and will give people a good idea on like how people are actually playing the game, right? Or at least like that are involved in the Discord that are playing the game. Higher grades / rarity fish should give more fishing experience. Definitely, it 100% should. Indeed, we already have this mechanism planned, and we aim to implement it during future major events integrated with the event scenarios. But again, this is a really small thing, guys, that like it kind of doesn't matter But at the same time, it's just something that should have been there at launch because it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? And also in video games or in software development, this is nothing but a number fix in a database. This isn't like a huge time-consuming thing. And so it shouldn't really be shouldn't be something that people have to complain about afterwards, right? Colorblind players can't tell the difference between normal and black flowers. Make them more distinct. Okay, that's interesting. We'll continue evaluating and improving visibility and identification features in the game. For now, you can still check details like shape, length, and color through the item description in the inventory. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I didn't know this was an issue, but they should do something to fix it, and hopefully they can figure out an actual way in game. I don't actually do this system at all, but I would assume they should just make it so that way it tells you what color they are when you go to pick them, right? Is that not the case? If that's not the case, then it should be that way. It should say, hey, if you go to pick this rose or whatever, that it's a black flower instead of a normal flower or something. So the quality of life changes announced for CN Season 2 sound great. When will we get them in our version? Yes, since NA/EU versions released later than some other regions, certain quality of life updates may arrive earlier than usual. Once they're ready, we'll bring them to our new version as soon as possible. Okay, good. I really like hearing this. So hopefully we don't have to wait until Season 2 for some of the quality of life stuff. What up, FX? How you doing, man? We're doing some React Randy stuff in the Discord for a QA from the devs. Can we preview or try on emotes in the shop before buying them? This should have been there at launch again, bro. It's so bad that they're not, especially when you have to pay potentially real money to get some of these. The same thing with hairstyles and all that kind of stuff. You should be able to preview everything in the game very, very easily. This feature is already scheduled and will be implemented once testing is complete. Okay, good. You should give at least one free cosmetic skin in the seasonal events. Going forward, we will continue introducing various seasonal events similar to the upcoming Kanamiya trials. Similar to the upcoming Kanamiya events. I'm assuming that means the ones we're getting on Friday. Players can obtain different appearances and accessories from event shops by participating in these events. Those actually do look kind of cool. It's like a new earring, a new necklace, and I forget what the other item is, but yeah, they do look kind of good. Add a bulk sell or destroy option for unused seeds and pollen. Again, I don't interact with the system, but it sounds like they're making it great for them. We need something like a mentor system. Experienced players could guide first timers through Master Dungeons and get a reward, which might help reduce gatekeeping based on ability score. We understand that a mentor system could greatly energize the player community. Development of this feature is already underway, though as a brand new system, it will take some time to implement. In the meantime, our official community will launch a simpler mentor event, which players can join first. Okay, really, really good. Add a DPS meter. Okay. This has been something that I've been meaning to talk about for a while, so let's wait to hear their response and just go over some actual information here. So not having a DPS meter, one, it forces everyone to rely on the third party outside the game DPS meter. That's not good for anyone, but people are going to do it. And also, they want to make more hard content in the game in Season 2. Even if you could make the argument right now that people don't need a DPS meter, which you cannot make that argument. People right now need a DPS meter because they need to understand how much damage they're actually doing, and they need to make sure that they can actually clear the content. Even as easy as some of the content is in the game, you do hit DPS walls, even with people that are vastly overgeared, and that's because the number system that they provided in the game doesn't actually represent anything close to damage. It just doesn't. But again, it just makes it everyone's worse. And then also, I've gone over this before, but add a DPS meter so the whales who spend feel good about spending. I'm not a whale, okay? I barely spend any money on this game at all. I think collectively I have spent $30 on the game or something. And I'm not planning to whale, especially not anytime soon. But the point being is, if dude bro over there spends $5,000 on his character, let everybody see how much damage he's doing. It's gonna make him feel good about spending the money. That's gonna make us feel good, and maybe, you know, maybe not so good about how much damage we're doing, but maybe, you know, it will make people more interested in the damage that they're doing and making sure they're actually contributing, right? This game doesn't have a huge problem where people that whale have a huge excess amount of damage over anyone else. Even good whales are only doing, you know, I don't know exact numbers, but the best I've seen, I think, is like maybe like 20% more damage total. And I wouldn't even say that that's like a 1-for-1. That was like a really geared whale versus like me when I was like a fresh like level 80 geared player. You know what I mean? Like, and like that's just the reality situation. Like some classes are going to scale better, true, but also like just let people see it. It's not good for the game to hide it, and it just looks really bad. I was doing Vault 55 the other day, and the tank had a DPS meter, so we knew who to replace. We wiped for like 3 hours. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if you're literally hitting a DPS wall on anything in the game, you have to have a DPS meter, because there's no way you can actually look at it and say, hey, this guy's strong or this guy's not. I've seen plenty of people that are 27,000, 28,000, and they're doing like less than 50k DPS. It's crazy, man. Like sometimes people are really not good at this game, and there's all kinds of other factors. We had somebody in our guild the other day who is a massive whale, and the guy unfortunately had like, you know, such a bad phone that he was playing on that it was literally like handicapping him. He played the exact same way on a PC on the next raid and did 5 times the amount of damage. So even if a whale does spend a bunch of money, it doesn't mean that they're doing the damage that they think they are, and it can be for a variety of reasons. Maybe they're not playing well, maybe they have a crap phone that they're playing on. Who knows, right? There's so many things that you could say like contribute to someone's damage. You need to have a DPS meter in game. And most importantly, and I really want to bring this up because I think this is genuinely the most important one, okay? It's really important for everyone to be able to understand how much damage they're contributing, because otherwise you get this really weird ability score gatekeeping. That's the true problem with this. If people understood that like people with a high ability score aren't necessarily going to be doing a shit ton of damage, if they looked at the numbers that I've seen, and they've seen people, like I said, 27,000, 28,000, and they're doing less than 50% of some other people that are like 21, 22, 23,000. The players are going to stop gatekeeping on that weird random number. If everyone has to be responsible for their damage, it encourages them to play better and encourages them to get better, so that way they can be better, they can more effectively clear stuff. But as it is now, I know for a fact there are players in the game that think they're doing well and they're not, and they just don't know, man. And if they don't know, because there's no DPS meter, it's such a big deal, and they just need to stop with this. They did the weird DPS meter. You can literally, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can use a DPS meter right now in the game. Right here, this is a DPS meter, but it only works in the guild hall. It only works in the guild hall. It doesn't work in unstable space. It doesn't work on guild bosses. It doesn't work on dungeons. It doesn't work on raids. It only works in the guild hall. And that's just so meaningless, man. That's just so meaningless. It's actually insane. Yo, what up, Trashcoon? This is a waste of development time, in my opinion. Having something that's like this, that's so restrictive. Now, if this was a very, very first iteration and they're planning to expand it, then, you know, it can be what it's going to be. But they need to concede on this. They need to just add a proper DPS meter to the game. It will literally improve everyone's experience. It genuinely will, and players will have a better idea of what they're doing wrong potentially, and how they can improve. And then again, as I said, on top of that, it literally encourages people to spend more money, right? If whales could see, oh, I'm spending money, or that whale over there, he spent a bunch of money and then he's doing 20% more damage than me. You think they're not going to spend to catch up? Hell no. If somebody like that has the money to spend, they're going to be like, that dude's doing 20% more damage than me because he spent money? Oh, hell no. You know what I mean? Like, it's a DPS race for a reason. All right? I don't find any meaning of that one in game. Exactly. Yeah, there's no meaning to the current DPS meter in game. It's so worthless. It's literally a waste of time. To ensure a good gameplay experience, we have been continuously testing and optimizing the DPS meter. Currently, players can switch between the quest interface and the DPS meter by using the arrow keys, and can try the test version at the guild's training hall dummy area. Okay, so there is some version of this coming, apparently. So if this is only meant to be a test version, then I get it, right? Like I said earlier, if it's just a prototype, That's fine. But they need to put a proper DPS meter in the game so people are aware of what their contribution is. I still even have people come into my chat occasionally who think they're all that in a bag of chips. You know what I mean? And that's not good for the game either. Like having those people that are super conceited and think that they're doing super good because they have a high ability score isn't helpful for anyone. You know what those people are going to do? They're going to immediately gatekeep based on ability score. You know what they're going to find when they gatekeep on ability score? The other people in the game that don't have good damage. Like that's part of the reason why I made those videos and why I tried to spread the information about how easy it is to inflate your ability score in the first place. That's because I wanted people to understand ability score means nothing, and it's not even a joke. Like ability score actually means nothing. So I'm glad to see that they're going to do. Hopefully this means that they're actually going to have a proper DPS meter. It sounds to me like that's what they're actually doing, but until it's actually in the game, I'm gonna continue with my current stance that like they need to just concede and have it in the game already. It sounds like that's what they're doing, but again, until it's in the game, I'm a more see it to believe it kind of person rather than just take someone's word for it. So all this sounds really good. I'm glad they're moving the game in the right direction. We're going to get some more of the quality of life and things like that, and a proper DPS meter. All good, all good. And you know what? Honestly, I would love to see them actually double down too and make it a really quality DPS meter. Surely these people who are people that have enjoyed MMOs in the past have played World of Warcraft, for example. Every single DPS meter in the world should be literally done the same way that details is done in World of Warcraft. It gives you so much information and it helps you get better as a player. And when I mean that, I mean it like more than I think anyone can even imagine. Details gives you information about what players died to, what did damage to them, etc., right? On top of everything that you get from, you know, your damage contribution and your healing numbers and stuff like that. You have access to all of that information. You can go and you can look at the entire timeline of the fight. You can see what someone's DPS was the entire timeline of the fight. You can verify that they, you know, weren't just like juicing at the beginning, or maybe they were and they didn't do any damage toward the end, or etc. Like you can do all kinds of stuff. You can go and you can look to see like buff uptime and anything you can imagine. Like these things are just tools at the end of the day, but they're tools to help players get better. And not only that, but to help everyone have a better experience. If players get better, if players get more naturally skilled and are able to do more stuff in the game, we're not going to see people gatekeep by ability score. If everyone can play the game and everyone's doing enough damage to clear the content, you're not going to see nearly as many of those groups that are like, you know, 25k ability score, 27k ability score, etc. You're not going to see them because everyone can clear the content with everyone else, right? The problem is that right now there are people in the game that are literally doing, like in some cases, 25% of other people's damage. And it's because they're not playing well and they just don't know. Anyway, that was it for our React Randy session. Thank you, by the way, Red Panda, for letting me know that this was out. I'm really happy to have gone over it, and I'm happy to hear some of these things. I'm really excited that they are sounding like they're adding this DPS meter. That would be really good. Hopefully, like I said, they actually do their due diligence and give us a proper DPS meter like the details meter in World of Warcraft. So